What's up? We are back on the CEO Pulse podcast where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. We are hitting you again with another really, really cool, relevant topic when it comes to mindset, right? Entrepreneurial mindset. Mindset Mondays with my co-host, Justin Thorstad.
That's new. Thank
Right?
you. Appreciate that.
I even got a dance in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm getting raving reviews, by the way, like on my intros.
Of your intros?
Yeah. See, like even Siri wanted to
chime in on that.
Yeah, chime in on that. So, anyways, the topic today is it's not over until I win, right? A lot of the times we can get demoralized and we can feel insufficient as we're going through the process of entrepreneurship. We can feel like, shit, I'm not built for this. I'm not, I'm not equipped to deal with the hits that you constantly get as an entrepreneur. I mean, it really is a fucking roller coaster when it comes to trying to, stand on a space of creation, right?
Yeah.
And that's essentially what we're doing as entrepreneurs. We're trying to create this life, this idea of life that we have in front of us, and then have it come to fruition. However, on that path, we get hit time and time again. So one topic that, or the way that you phrased it earlier was, it's not over until I win. What does that mean, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, this topic really came about because, as IG heard, we get together for about 30, 45 seconds to discuss what the topic's going to be, and it's just an organic conversation. So this topic that I presented and came forward with really just came from my own experience with myself over the last 3 weeks. Like, I don't know about you all, but when you're going to see this episode, but there seems to be this energetic shift going on. And it's been a cleansing out, a pruning of the dead, a death of a thing in order for a rebirth to happen. Mm-hmm. And the topic of it ain't over until I win really just came from my own awareness of myself over those last 3 weeks of what I've been going through of entrepreneurship. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. You know what I mean? And in fact, I think when you do get what you want, it kind of can have this sense of a boost to the ego of like, oh, check me out, look how good I am. You know what I mean? And then you think it's always going to be like that. And nothing ever stays the same. I mean, change is the only constant, right?
Yeah.
And so you said you just keep hitting new walls and new things and, left hook gets you caught off guard. It's like that's what entrepreneur is all about because that's what life is, man. Like, and it's what do you do in those times when the bottom falls out? When you're successful one day and all of a sudden you get knocked off centered, the economy catch you by surprise, new competitor, like whatever the case is, like hits always keep coming. And in my opinion, it's the mental, emotional resilience you have as an entrepreneur that determines your success or your failure. And so the simple saying of it's not over until I win is simply just the awareness that I get to decide. Because it's not over until I win. Because I'm going to keep going until it's made manifest. I'm going to keep going until I achieve or obtain my end goal, my chief aim. Because the only thing that could stop me is me. Yeah. And it's not over until I say, you know what, no more, I quit, I'm tapping out, or until I win. Yeah. And if I got no quit in my game and I'm not willing to give up, it ain't over until I win. And it doesn't matter what hits keep coming. It doesn't matter what reality unfolds. I'm going to keep moving. In fact, I'm going to take every single one of those situations that are unfolding, that are not what I truly desire, those left hooks, those things that catch me off guard, those things that I was ignoring and not paying attention to that eventually bubble up and hit me. How I respond to those things and how I react, like those are all little gifts. Because it's all a gift of a self-awareness. Those situations that unfold cause a reaction on the inside. Cause your mind to think a certain thought, to go a certain place with it, and then you feel corresponding emotions in alignment with those thoughts. And each one of those are just mirroring back to me, what am I still hanging on to on the inside? What old programming and conditioning do I still have that's being outpictured in such a way that I'm reacting to the situation instead of looking at this as a beautiful gift of an opportunity for me to learn and grow about what's going on the inside that I get to release, reframe, reprogram so that I can have and experience more inner peace moment by moment, regardless of the situation, regardless of what reality is unfolding in front of me. Like nothing's going to stop me but me. And I'm not willing to allow myself to quit.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of where the phrase and the topic came up.
I like it, man. It's incredible how free one feels, right? When we understand that we have the option to respond to things, to respond to adversity, to respond to challenges, right? And then see it as a, okay, cool. This is a temporary thing. It's not. There's no permanence in anything, right? It's a temporary thing. If it's a defeat, it's a temporary defeat. Now the real, I think the real quote unquote talent comes in the capacity to deal with that. How long can we stick to that vision? How long can we stick to that idea of creating something bigger and better and aiming for that fulfillment, right? And when we get hit, I mean, it's easy to get broken down. It's easy to get demoralized. It's easy to say, "Fuck it," I'm not wired for this. It's easy to.
That's what most people do. Quit.
Yeah, to quit, right? But and it's a big difference between quitting and pivoting. It's a big difference between quitting and pivoting. When you quit, you automatically just drop everything, and then you turn around and then you go back to a place where you're not happy in. That's quit, right? When you pivot, you're looking for alternate, options, something else. You're still moving forward. There's no stagnation. Right?
Totally.
You're pivoting. You're moving into a different action if that path didn't work out or whatever, but you're still moving forward in the overall grandeur of that vision that you have.
Absolutely.
And when you realize that everything is an option, everything is we have a choice to not quit.
Moment by moment.
Yeah.
It's all choices.
It's we have that option, right? We have that choice. Like, you know what? Fuck, I'm not gonna. That's the choice I make. I'm not gonna quit. And it really I like in my opinion, I think it places this big sense of responsibility on the stuff that I know that I can do. And now because it's really all on me, right? Because I made the choice of adopting that decision and moving forward with that. And I think that once the choice is made, there's no turning back. Like you're not going to go back to bed and sleep comfortably if you feel like you quit because you already made that choice. It's just, I mean, it becomes part of you. It's crazy how that just kind of manifests, after actions and whatnot. But it really, taking things to this whole other level when we decide, all right, it's not going to be over until I win. What does that win look like, right?
Yeah, and sometimes the pivot looks like recreating, redesigning what the win is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that end goal, that chief aim is subject to change. You know what I mean? As something comes across your awareness and you become aware of something that you were asleep to before, and now the new target is something higher and better. Or it's something with a completely different essence. Like it could be a moving target. And what's so wrong with that? I think people have this misconception that, okay, I have an idea, that's my goal, that's the target, and I'm moving along, and all of a sudden an obstacle comes up that I didn't have the awareness that to perceive that this was a potential reality.
Yeah.
So it caught me off guard, and now I should have scrapped the whole thing. Like, no, wrong. Maybe that obstacle came up because that was whatever you believe in as a higher power, God, the universe, whatever. It's like, nope, cutting you off here because you really need to go in that direction. That's the highest and best. That's your calling. That's your path. And it's like, why so rigid and like, it's got to be this? Like, why not be fluid and dance with this and just keep moving forward? I was saying to you earlier before we started, like, for example, I was running this morning and I was like 3/4 of the way through my run. I was tired when I started, like I was low energy for X number of reasons. And all of a sudden, my mind and my body just said, stop. And I stopped running, but I didn't stop moving. And in the moment, I was like, why the hell did you stop? Like, why? I was like, wait a minute, I didn't stop. I'm still moving, actually. Yeah. I'm just at a slower pace right now. And what's so wrong with that? You know what I mean? Yeah. I was listening to my body. My body was like I didn't have a time to say, do I want to stop?
Bro, you
like,
haven't ran in 6 months.
I've been running for a couple months now. So just getting back in the groove of how I used to run.
Bedroom to kitchen does not count.
Oh, shit. Well, in that case, I guess I'm a loser. But the awareness of I didn't actually stop. I stopped doing what I was doing, but I was still in motion. Like I didn't quit.
Moving forward,
I'm still moving forward. And so regardless of what's going on in life or in business, like to just notice that sometimes slowing down for a minute to like, okay, wait a minute. Let me approach this situation with a new lens, with a new level of awareness. Let me be objective about what's happening right now and take inventory. Let me reflect. And that's necessary. I mean, moment by moment, because if you're always balls to the wall, you're always hustle, you always grind, like you're so narrow focused that you got to like lift your gaze above that maze and take inventory, take stock, like what's really going on right now? How am I interacting with it? How am I being? And what am I going to do differently that could be better, that could be more efficient, more effective? Not good, bad, right, wrong, just simply efficient and effective of me and in a response to the situation. And I think the more that we do that, the more information we learn, the more lessons are gained. And so the less ridiculous mistakes we make, right? Because we're learning along the way. We're taking in new information, resourcing ourselves to be better equipped. And that information also helps us redefine where we're going and why we're going there. I think that's so important. How many times have any of you out there been going for something just to realize that along the way, or even when you get it, it's not really what you wanted?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then therefore it was unfulfilling.
Yeah, a lot of times that introspection is not necessarily leading the way. We're just kind of shooting from the hip, based off of things that we see outside of us. And it can be tricky. I mean, I think you make a really good point when it comes to information, right? We are in the age of, I think at the stage that we're in as a human collective is like ignorance is a choice.
Totally. We're in the information age.
It's information is readily available and whatnot. So you get hit with something, right? So information leads to awareness. The more information that we get in, the more exposed that we get to podcasts, books, just good vibes and the space that we want to create, right? We don't have, this is a crazy thing, man. We don't have to, I think about people, I don't know, 100 years ago, right? Like those people, they had to sit down and really like imagine shit. Like they had to really get creative to like imagine and visualize, and because that stuff wasn't out there. They didn't have like the option of looking at social media and being inspired by I don't know, like creators all over the place. Now it's to a point, yeah, it's mainstream, right? But all we have to do is get inspired a little bit and then sit and then meditate on some things that we may perhaps see, a life that we want to design after, or people that we want to look up to and whatnot. It wasn't that easy 100 years ago.
No.
Right? Yeah. So what I'm trying to get to here is that information creates that awareness. We have that awareness now. We know that the life that we want to create is possible, right? Now, not quitting along the way, it's one of those important things that you have to kind of watch out for.
Yeah.
But you create that awareness. That awareness is going to create that consciousness, and that consciousness creates the energy that that it propels, the whole entire, set of actions and everything that we're doing to get to that space. But yeah, I think now, we are in the age of information, and ignorance can be a choice. Once you get exposed, you can't you can't unsee things anymore, right?
Absolutely.
You can't play like there's no possibilities out there. Like there's situations may be limited and whatnot, but there's always ways around different things. And I think it's staying open to that kind of stuff and really thinking, listen, I know I'm going to get hit with adversity. This is the type of life that I want to create. This is, where I see myself in 3 years, 5 years. This is the type of relationships I want to have. This is the type of, energy, vibes around me, the type of impact, influence, whatever you're aiming at, that you want to have. We can craft that. We can craft that as human beings. And understanding that it's not over until I win, I think gives us a really good sense of power behind the actions that we take, right?
Yeah. Well, and so the simple statement of "it's not over until I win," really, in my opinion, it gives you your power back. You're no longer victim, where you're being controlled by your situations, your circumstances, your environment, where you get to dictate those. Because you're saying, regardless of what the reality is, I ain't quitting until I hit it. Yeah. So I may need to change my perspective. I may need to change my sense of belief and conviction about the thing I'm going for. I may need to upgrade and change my strategy. I may need to educate myself, but I am not quitting until I figure it out. I'm not quitting until I get there. I had... many years ago, I had this marketing campaign, and when I was just a solo realtor, and at the time, my average price point was $215,000. So this was a good decade ago, right? And I went to this free seminar and I learned about this marketing approach and strategy. I didn't exactly know how to do it because I didn't have the $5,000 at the time to pay for the guy's coaching, where he gives you the whole business in a box. And many times it never really is, not all the time. And so I said, screw it, I'm going to make it up on my own. And so I created my marketing piece, I selected my target area, and I just went at it. And nothing happened. And just kept going, making adjustments, changing words, changing colors, changing all kinds of things, just kept going. I had to keep going for 6 fucking months, man. 6 months until it finally hit. But check it out. For the next 36 months, every year, I was earning $250,000 a year from that marketing campaign. And all I had to do was I hired someone to keep pushing it out. I had to pay for it for 6 months. I had to hold the belief for 6 months. And then all of a sudden, all I had to do was start answering my phone, go on appointments. Answer phone, go on appointments. Like, that's all I did. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to create a business that was inbound, where the only thing I did was go on listing appointments. That's it. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah. How many people would have given up after 6 days? 6 weeks.
How many people do give up?
Exactly. So, for example, like you're an educator and you got your wholesale business blueprint, right? Yeah. Business in a box. How many students buy that program and then they get into action with a marketing strategy? It doesn't work out after a month, 2, 3, and they're like, screw it, this doesn't work. It's like, wait a minute. Maybe it does work. I'm not working it. Yeah. I'm not willing to keep going and persevere and be persistent and consistent until I win. Like, it really is a mindset.
It really is, man. You have to give things enough time to manifest, right?
The law of gestation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if go back, I don't know, a scene from The Secret just popped into my head. Remember that guy that's sitting in the living room, and then he just closes his eyes, and then he feels he's with an elephant, and then 2 seconds later he's got the fucking elephant sitting in his room. Yeah. All right. So it's not it's not like that.
No.
It's kind of a good thing, right? But we do have to give things enough time to work, right? Like, now during that process, during that season of or that time frame of change, of doubt, of building ourselves up. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of pushback, emotionally, psychologically, societally, if you may, and you have to hold that belief.
Yeah,
you have to hold that belief, within you, and understand that, okay, cool, this is a path, this is a means to an end. This is just the path that I have to walk to get to that point where I'm headed to, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not over until I win.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and so, we can pose this whole entire conversation from a different direction too, of like, think of somebody that you sincerely admire, maybe even idolize. They're super successful in life, and think of 2 qualities of why you love that person. Maybe not love, but you look up to them as like someone that's arrived or achieved, right? Like, for example, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Elon Musk. Now, not in all regards and all things, but there's 2 things that I admire about that man. One is he's a dreamer. He goes for really big things, and he's tenacious and persistent until he wins. Yeah. Like, I admire that about him. Yeah. And it's like, whatever you admire, those qualities in that person, you got to understand it's because you see those things in yourself. And so if you think of somebody that's super successful, let's break it down to its simplest fundamentals, right? What faculties does that person have you think you don't have? Like, who the hell do you think you are? And I mean that in the sense of, like, who do you think you're not?
Yeah.
It's like we all have the same faculties. We all have an imagination, a memory, the ability to reason, persistent, consistent, tenacity, relentless. The question is, how have I been with those things to develop them, to nurture them, to generate, to cultivate, to develop that muscle until I win? I was funny because as soon as we sat down, for some reason, one of that book right there just struck my attention. Hard times create strong men. It's so true, because it's in the struggle that you develop those muscles.
Yeah.
It's in the application of them and utilizing them to develop them, to strengthen them, that they really come to be a gift. And most people just want to be bestowed with genius and creativity and brilliance. It's like, and tenacity and stick-to-itiveness and no quitting my game. It's like, you already actually have that. But how much have you invested into it to develop that muscle? I mean, look at Ralph. He's chiseled and shit. Like, he wasn't just born that way. Like, he goes to the gym. He eats properly. He maintains his diet. And, I mean, he has like 3 breakfasts and 4 lunches. But, he can burn that. It's semantic. That looks like he get caught in the weeds. But he's like my spirit animal when it comes to food. I smell a donut and I gain a pound. You know what I mean? So it's like, but you're in the gym, you're developing those muscles, and you're consistent and persistent to a large extent, at least more often than you're not, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%.
So I don't have that same discipline for that. But again, that's because we want two different things. So whatever it is you're going for and whoever it is you admire, just understand you have the same faculties and latent abilities. But what are you doing with those?
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're really developed and revealed to you during the struggle. Like you don't realize the awesome, beautiful gifts you have until they're demanded of you. And they're only going to be demanded of you when shit gets hard.
Yeah.
And so you're going to quit and throw in the towel because, like, oh, I can't do it, like damsel in distress. Or you're going to be like, fuck this. This is my opportunity. This is the gift. It's the situation in which I get to show up, take a deep breath, take a swig of Gatorade, and keep fucking going.
Yeah. And again, it's important to understand that you're not going to be moving at the same rate all the time, right? Sometimes you're going to slow down. Sometimes you're going to get bogged down. Sometimes you're not going to feel like doing shit, but you still got to keep moving forward.
Yeah. You got to take a shit day, take a shit day. You got to have a pity party, take a pity party. But when you're done, keep going.
Using the analogy, right, of the gym, right? You go to the gym one day and then you work out and then you do, I don't know, you do arms or whatever. Like you go home, you don't see like your arms bigger after that one hit at the gym. No. You go the next day and then same thing. You don't see it, and you don't see it for, months, right? And then next thing you know, like, okay, cool, you start seeing like little changes here and there, but it takes a while.
It does.
I mean, that gestation really, takes a long time. It's important to not confuse the process of growth, the process of becoming success with failure.
Boom.
Because I think it's very, very easy to do that. Well, I know I've done that in the past.
Well, and I think the reason is, and I'm just going to speak from my experience of myself, is that especially with like when I went on my weight release journey 5 years ago, 6 years ago, like, when you are going to the gym and you are changing your diet, like you don't see those results right away because they're so small and marginal over time. But then, like, and let's say you had a goal to weigh X or this much BMI or whatever the target is. And then before you hit that, so you'll see somebody you haven't seen in a while. And they're like, wow, you look good. And you're like, no, I fucking don't, because I'm not at goal.
Yeah.
But you're not paying attention to the marginal increase of that you're making because you're in it and you're too close to it. And we look through our five senses for validation of, am I making progress?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it doesn't happen that way. I mean, look, like you don't go out to the soil and you plant a tomato seed and water it, and the next day you run out there to see if you have a fucking tomato. Like it doesn't work that way. Things do take time. And you're too close
if the
to
tomato's not there the next day, it doesn't mean you failed.
Yeah.
It means that
doesn't
fucking
mean it's
thing's
bad
still growing.
seed. Yeah, totally. Like give it some damn time. Like don't quit. Like, oh, the seed must be dead. I'm gonna stop watering it. Like what? That doesn't make any sense.
Now, when we translate that to everyday actions as entrepreneurs, when we translate that to adversity and chaos and just going through the motions of business, right? It's easy to feel failure. It just becomes like oh man, I'm having a super shitty day because of this, and that, and then we just confuse that process with failure. And I mean, I don't know. I feel confident saying that I'm not the only one who's done that.
No.
It's important to understand though that it's part of the path. It's part of the process.
Yeah.
I mentioned I was having a conversation with one of my students and this morning, and there's a couple of things going south on his 9 to 5. He works for the police department, and then he had an injury, so now he's not going to be able to do that. So he has to transition to something else. And the really cool thing, I mean, that would freak anybody out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh shit! Like I'm losing, quote unquote, losing this space that I have for safety and security and financial stability, right?
And maybe even identity itself,
right?
Misplaced.
The conversation that I had with him though. This is what was magical about it, right? The context of the whole thing was like, this is an opportunity, and this is coming from him, right? It's not me trying to just drill him on mindset and all that stuff. I do that plenty, but it's this is coming from him. Like, this is an opportunity. This is my way of not beating the drum for another 2-3 years before I jump into what I actually want to do. So now he's got like everything laid out in terms of like the progress that or the plans that are coming up and relocation, that sort of thing, and he's excited. He's excited about this shitty thing that happened at work that really opened up something else, and it's gonna help him pivot into that space that he wants to, right?
Yeah.
But another thing like that makes him uncomfortable, based on that conversation that we're having, is like I'm the most uncomfortable I've ever been financially, right? And like that would scare the shit out of anybody. All right, I mean, you're being challenged, moving to a new space, right? You're leaving the space that you already know, and then you don't have the backup of I don't know, like a nest egg or something.
Yeah.
Like that can scare.
Plan B, chicken exit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All I could just read in him was excitement. I was like, this is fucking amazing.
It's ready for ass
You know
on
what
fire.
I mean? Exactly. I
Yep.
mean, and that's the thing, right? That's the whole context of that conversation. It's not over until I win. Like there's something. If I'm breathing, there's still something.
I got
happening.
a fighting shot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Exactly. Like if we're breathing, we still have a shot at this.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter what happens on the outside. It doesn't matter what happens to you physically. Like if you're breathing, you can keep going. I mean, shit. What just came to mind was like Stephen Hawking's. Like that man was wheelchair bound, can't even speak, yet still one of the leading astrophysicists in the world.
Yeah.
You know, his brilliant mind and used a clicker to communicate. Like it ain't over until you win.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what's happening out there. Like stop judging yourself, condemning yourself, thinking of what's possible, what's not possible based on what's happening out there.
Yeah.
It's just adjustments.
Give it enough
It's
time to
learning.
work too. I mean, that's
mean,
important.
Again, like I'm completely restructuring one of my organizations, like completely, and I'm so excited about it. Like I wasn't anticipating this 3 weeks ago. Like some circumstances unfolded, and it's like, oh shit, okay, got to cut that and move in this direction. Oh shit, now this happened. Like all these things happening, and for most people, I guarantee you, most people would be freaking out right now.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more calm and collected, as cool as a cucumber, baby, because it's like this is all happening for me. It's happening for my organization. I'm learning beautiful, brilliant things along the way that otherwise I would have never learned without being forced into the situation.
Yeah.
It's like, great. Now I'm just so excited to see what higher and better outcome is going to happen as a rebirth because of all of this. Like, please, let's get it on.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm not losing, and it ain't over until I win.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, right? It doesn't come from this egoic lens. I like that phrase. And it comes from a space of growth. It comes from a space of creativity, of creation, right? We have the opportunity to create. We have the opportunity to do something bigger, better, and really impact.
Yeah,
create more awareness.
And I'm glad you said that statement. Ain't over until I win. Can seem like one of those motivational grind and hustle and force.
Yeah.
Easily, it could be
borderline narcissistic, but it's not.
Totally. But the way that I'm being with that statement is, I know that I'm the one in there witnessing my mind. I know I'm the one in there witnessing my emotions, my past programming, my conditioning. But to know that that's not me, I'm the one witnessing it. And so if it's not over until I win, it's a subtle, gentle reminder, for me anyways, this is my opinion, that I'm the one in there that gets to choose and decide moment by moment. I have a mind, I have a body, I am a soul. And it's the integration, the wholeness of those three things to realize that I decide moment by moment. Yes, I have conditioning that can be destructive, that's not serving, that's ineffective, that's inefficient at times, and it can pop up. But it's in my ability to notice that, course correct, pivot, and go in the direction that I decide. And if that's the case and that's true, and that's my reality, then it ain't over until I win. Because I'm not quitting. For me, that would be death.
It's just another day at the office.
Totally.
It's just another day at the
Roll with
office.
it.
You're talking about choice and decision. It's important to understand too that we have a choice to react, right? We have a choice to act or react. We can choose how we come about adversity, about failure even. We can put a smile on it, or we can really let ourselves get carried by just uncontrolled emotions, right?
Yeah. And I'm not saying that does not happen to me. It's
always gonna happen. But I think well, one thing that we have to understand, as we build this just emotional IQ and we get better at just managing ourselves, right? Just our responses or reactions. It's key for me to understand that I still get dragged into that natural state of being, right? Where I mean, I get pissed off and I explode, and then, but I mean, I used to explode and then stay exploded for, the whole day, 2-3 days, and be fucking pissed at the world, right? Now, if I explode, okay, cool, I'll catch myself doing so, and I have a choice. At that point, I have the awareness of what's going on. Okay, cool, I can get super sad about this. I can get super pissed about this, or I can just kind of brush it off with a smile and then move on to the next thing. You know what I developed though? Like I developed a very quick sense of wonder. My mind wanders real quick from shit that I like. Okay, cool. I see that as that's an issue. I can't do anything about it right now, so I'm just like, all right, kind of chuckle away at it and then move on to something else.
Acceptance.
It just releases a lot of that friction, right? That can again be construed as failure. It like those emotions can start stacking and they layer on top of each other, and then next thing you know, you have this big weight on top of you that may feel like you need to change course, that you're not worthy, that you're not enough, that you're not capable of doing whatever your vision is calling you to do, right? But I think it's the incremental just situations that happened as we go through life, that if we don't choose how we react to those, and what kind of energy, what kind of power we give them as we go along, like they get heavy, and that's what stops us on our tracks, I think.
Yeah, totally. And so the key is to notice that initial reaction, which is conditioning, and to catch it in a moment and shift to something more productive. And that in the moment is developing that muscle to reprogram the mind and the body, right? Yeah. So that I can respond differently next time this happens. Because it's not a matter of if it happens again, it's a matter of when. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because again, everything's always unfolding. Reality's been unfolding for almost 14 billion years.
Yeah.
Like long before you got here and long after you're gone, right? Yeah. And so it's like, it's not about getting reality to do what you want it to do. That's delusional. It's how am I interacting with it? Yeah. How am I responding versus reacting? And how am I developing myself along the way to learn those lessons so
What's
I can
the choice
make those
capacity
shifts?
in it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, man, I think it's a really solid the topic, right? Like the just the mindset of it's not over until I win. And again, not coming from an egotistical or narcissistic standpoint, not at all. It's coming from a space of creation. We can create that life, that we aim at. And maybe, I don't know, it may take, if you're super good, it may take you months. If you're like, they say it takes 10, 20 years to become an overnight success. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's always a time factor in there.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's 10 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah, become an overnight success.
Yep.
But there's a lot of there's a lot of tenacity that has to take place in there, right? At the end of the day, like understanding that we do have that choice to react to situations, to life, how that's why we're given the power of choice. Yeah. Like no other creature.
Free will.
Yeah, free will, exactly. And it's well, I mean, I think that's another podcast, but it's important to understand that free will is really recognized when you look at yourself from within. Okay, not I have this kind of like split conversation about free will. We get conditioned through everything outside of us, but when you really figure out what free will for you is when you look internally, and that's a whole
insight.
That's a whole.
That'll
other,
be next.
You know
episode.
What? Yeah, we'll do that
also,
on Monday.
Circle of control, circle of influence has been coming up for me with this conversation. So we got a couple of episodes on the back burner. Then
boom,
boom. I like it.
Yeah, but just understanding that we do have the choice, right, to react, to put a smile upon adversity. We have the choice to not fucking quit. If you have the ability to create, to craft something in your mind, to be, create this imagery of what your life can be, and we have the possibility, just because in the space that we're playing in, right, to as entrepreneurs to create something like that, we do have the choice. We have the responsibility to not fucking quit.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, and I believe that level of determination. Like that determination is really the bridge between thought and achievement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it takes that level of certainty, of intention, of tenacity, of determination, of it ain't over till I quit. Like I'm just going to keep moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. No, it ain't over till I win.
Yeah, my bad.
Dude, you messed up the whole podcast.
Oh yeah,
The whole podcast
just
just
delete.
went to
We're gonna
shit
redo
right
the
now.
whole thing. Mistakes will be made.
Mistakes. See, we just pivoted.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I love it, man. Justin, solid topic. Thank you for bringing that up today.
Yeah,
if
man.
somebody wants to get a
My
hold
pleasure,
of you, where do they find you?
JustinThorstad.com, social media, Facebook, Instagram.
No phone number? All right.
Guys, I never get any calls. So what's the point?
You know what? People are intimidated, I think. Like, because, yeah, like as much as, it's like, it's crazy, but I've asked like other, coaches and influencers out there, like, do you actually give your, yeah, like we'll give the phone number, but not, you would expect a bunch of people to actually take the opportunity and call.
Yeah.
And have that one-to-one. Not a lot of people do.
Yeah, it's free. It's conversation, and it's a
Yeah.
missed opportunity. But
Yeah.
that's the thing is like I'm not intimidating.
If I hear-
some people are just intimidated.
Dude, if I hear the phone number from somebody who who I'm listening to, and I was like, yeah,
Dude.
I'm gonna call to
I'm
at least
pouncing.
find out, yeah, exactly, like how the weather is, where they're at. I don't know,
Yeah,
something.
anything. Yeah,
Anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Justin Thorstad, if you want to get a hold of me, Rafael Cortez, CEO on all social media. Make sure that you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then spread the love. All right, share the videos, the podcast. If you like what you're listening to here, do us a favor, help us reach more people, and subscribe, like, and share. All right, and yeah, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Mindset Mondays on the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. Stay focused. You got this. Let's go.